We have two signature academic programs. One is called MAPS and the other is called Capstone. MAPS is Mercersburg Academy Global Program Studies. It's like a silent G that doesn't exist, but those are for students that have an interest and have grown a love for the humanities. So anything that kind of stems from the arts, history, English, those are research projects that they can apply to do over the course of 2 years. It requires that you give a presentation at the end of your senior year, open to the student body and faculty to attend, but you also work on a very extensive research project that culminates into a thesis. And it can be about a variety of topics, but I saw a really impressive one last year on how art from West African countries has been reappropriated by Western civilization. And the students spoke about it so beautifully and had a lot of historical evidence, but it was an argument that hadn't been made before. So there's opportunities like that to really differentiate yourself from other students and what you believe. And it can stem from something as simple as just reading an article and thinking a little differently about it. So our faculty are there to support those students with interest in the humanities in that capacity. And then Capstone is a little more engineered towards math and science. So students that are interested in research in the sciences, there's a lot of psychology work. They'll do a lot of focus groups and ask surveys from the current student body. One of my favorite presentations from last year was just kind of talking about students that have gone through an experience of having parents that divorce and how that impacts you or doesn't impact you when you choose to attend a boarding school. So really interesting work. Faculty are here to support students in their own individual interests in a really meaningful way, but it gives you great exposure to doing research and getting out and interviewing and finding different primary sources before you go to college, which is an awesome tool to have in your tool belt before you head off to a university. So those are kind of our main academic programs. We have 27 varsity athletic options offered. We also have a really cool outdoor education program. So if you're interested in being outside, but not necessarily on a playing field, you'll have the opportunity to rock climb, learn to ski or continue skiing. We also do a cool outdoor cycling and kayaking excursions in the fall and spring as well. So experiential learning, something that Mercersburg takes really seriously. And because of our location, we're able to take advantage of the outdoors in that way. We're really excited to have appointed a faculty member to the role of Director of Experiential Learning this year. So we're going to work on experiential learning opportunities during the academic day. In the past, it was geared towards students that were really committed to service opportunities, but they just do it after school. And now we're going to build into this idea of civic engagement in both our academic side, but also our student life side, where we're encouraging students to confront difficult conversations, think about like tension in our own country and unpack what that means as being a part of a diverse student body. So because of our proximity to the nation's capital, it's really easy to go down there and walk through a museum, listen to a speaker. We're also lucky enough to be close enough where those people will come to our campus to speak with our students. So about 5 times a year after a seated dinner on Monday nights, we'll have a lecturer come to campus and kind of just speak to something that they've been researching or something that they've found to be really important in their work as an educator. And we get a lot out of it, and we're able to have conversations internally with our students as well. I'd say we, similar to our signature programs, take advantage of our location in that way too. We have opportunities for students to volunteer, work locally, but we also expand outside of the town of Mercersburg and engage with other students in other areas of the country as well. One of these roles of the Director of Experiential Learning will be helping students find what path they want to follow so that at the end of their 11th grade year, they can choose an international program, trip that they'd like to be a part of. So those are a range of options. If you're leaning more towards the foreign languages, there will be an immersive trip where you can go to a country with a native tongue of the language that you've been studying at Mercersburg. We also offer a service trip to another country where you can kind of work with less fortunate individuals and help them improve their quality of life. And that can mean more to someone than exploring the foreign language option. And then additionally, it can just be like growth and building on your understanding of another culture. We take our responsibility as educators in a diverse learning community very seriously. We don't want anyone to feel like their opinion or voice isn't valued. And one of the first things that we really try to have students understand and believe upon arrival is that what makes you different at Mercersburg is what makes you valuable. Your voice, your opinion, it's what is going to improve the learning for yourself, but also the students sitting next to you in the classroom or in the common room in the dorm. So embracing what makes you true to yourself will only make the community stronger and better off. Three actually come to mind. Two, unfortunately, graduated last year, but I think it was just because their impact on the community was so significant that I felt it, and even just overlapping with them for 2 years. So one was a student from Korea, and he was a very talented artist and had been working through the art department, studio arts, painter to be specific with his medium. And he ended up producing a work that was the Headmaster's Prize Award at the end of the year. And we just decided as a school to use it as a card that we're going to send to families throughout the year. It's a beautiful piece, kind of shows a city inside of a snow globe, and his personality comes through his artwork so well. So I think like that footprint that he's leaving on the school, he was a leader, led by example, an awesome human, but he left this piece of art that is going to be a part of that collection for the school's history. And I love that a multitude of offices, but specifically the advancement office, kind of chose this piece as the one that we were going to use as a card that we're going to distribute to people when we're trying to make connections to the greater community. So his artwork will be a lasting impression forever. A second is a student that he made waves through his humility. He was also from Korea, and he was never showboaty. So he never like spoke to himself in a way that would put someone off, and had leadership roles, was a prefect in the dorm, a captain of his athletic team, but he always put the community first. And I think through that, I ended up asking him to kind of tell a meaningful story from his 4 years at Mercersburg. And he chose to talk about the end of his 10th grade year and his experience packing to go home, and realizing that he was at the end of living in the 10th grade boys dorm. He had made friendships with people from other countries and other cultures that he didn't anticipate, but he couldn't imagine living without them anymore. So they had all been chosen to be prefects in other dorms the next year. He knew they weren't going to be roommates or hallmates anymore. And it was really sad, but also such a comforting feeling knowing that he had found his people at the boarding school he chose to attend. So those little connections that I think everyone is searching for in those first weeks and months of being in a boarding school, they do happen. It just takes a little bit of time. And then by the time you notice it, it's something that like speaks to the decision that you made to come to a boarding school altogether. It's just a really lasting impact. So he had a successful story, an awesome group of friends, the admiration of the faculty, but he did it in such a way that it was even an adult like myself would admire. So he made an awesome impact. And then the third is a student from Vietnam. She has an amazing sense of humor, but has been really transparent about Mercersburg maybe not being her first choice when she went through the process, and how happy she is that she ended up attending. I think, and in full transparency, it happened to me as well when I was looking at colleges. Like I thought my first choice was another school that I didn't end up attending, but I ended up being in the right place. And I'm seeing that through her experience at Mercersburg is you will find your people, you'll find your interests, and you'll find supportive faculty. And sometimes it's just about trusting the process that you'll end up attending the school that is actually best for you. So she misses living in a city, and Mercersburg is very rural, but it's like helped her find a different piece of herself with the location that she was really surprised by. And she talks about it a lot, but she's found her people. She's made an awesome impact on the community and will actually be the president of her class next year. So 3 different examples, but yeah, all great students.